Hey everybody, Daniel here with another Casual Dude review, and today we are going to be doing an unboxing and a quick review of the new Omega Speedmaster First Omega in Space, which is a throwback to the 1962 Speedmaster. So pretty excited about this one. I did tell myself that I did not need another Speedmaster. I currently have 4, but when this came out, I just kind of fell in love, and us watch collectors know what's up, right? You always, every watch is going to be your last watch for a while, and then something else comes up and you have to get it. But I was fortunate enough to get this one. It released just last week, and I was lucky that I got the call for it already. So yeah, really awesome of my Omega Boutique to reach out and offer this watch to me. And we'll do a quick unboxing right away, and then we'll compare it to my other Speedmasters, and we'll talk a little bit about what makes this one so special. So the first thing you'll notice is that it does not come in a Speedmaster box or any special edition box. Now, the reason for that is because my boutique actually did not receive the boxes. So they got the watch, but not the box. And so that's going to be coming at a later time, and they're going to call me when that comes in, and we'll show off the box. Maybe we'll do another, fake unboxing with the box and the way that it will be presented in the future. I personally have no problem with that. They did give me the generic box. I like the generic boxes a lot. They make for a great display, and also they come with a travel case. So I'm not going to say no to a free box while I wait for the official one to come in. And I also have no plans of selling the watch. So part of me does think that maybe Omega did this to prevent people who got them early from flipping. I don't really have that problem. I'm going to hang on to this watch, and I'll be honest, I've tried it on and I really like it. So this is probably going to be worked into my daily routine. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Now, this again was a throwback to the 1962 Speedmaster. Let's go ahead and talk about it while we get this open. Move this aside here. And what we'll do is we'll do some side-by-side differences between the new Speedmaster and then the current one as well. So here it is up close and personal. We have the Omega Speedmaster First Omega in Space edition that was just released last week. And so, as you can see, a very cool modernization of the original 1962 release. A lot of people kind of have issues with some of the, kind of the faux patina here. I actually think they did a really good job of it. It doesn't look like they just painted something to look old, but it does work well with the modern design of this vintage classic. And so that's the first thing you notice when taking it out and comparing it to the old Speedmaster. And then there are some other differences here as well. First of all, they do have this kind of what they're calling, I think, a gray-blue dial. And the way it catches the light is really nice. This was actually the selling point for me. I mean, I love the vintage style of the Speedmaster, the throwback to, the 1962 piece. But it was the dial that really kind of sets this apart from any of the other modern Speedmasters. Of course, we have the polished and brushed bracelet here, very reminiscent of the Ed White 321 model. And then some other design elements that we can notice are the case back, the first Omega in Space with the logo there, and then we have the vintage logo at the bottom, dated October 3rd, 1962. And so a couple of the other features that I want to talk about this that kind of sets it apart from some of the other Speedmasters, especially the more modern Speedmasters, is that if you look at the profile here, typically on the domed Speedmasters, this would be made of Hesalite. What's really cool here is that they found a way to create a domed sapphire crystal. And so this is sapphire, which, typically, I think the difference between the modern Hesalite and Sapphire Sandwich are about $1,000 difference in price. And so what's nice is that they've incorporated there. Now, of course, you're not going to get the Sapphire Sandwich, so you're not going to be able to see the modern movement, the 3861. But that's okay. I've got 2 Sapphire Sandwiches already. I know what's under the hood, and I kind of like, part of me wrestled with getting a Hesalite just for the originality of it, and I think it's really cool that, this throwback includes that, so it scratched that itch for sure. Some of the other things is that it has a vintage loom, and so all of the indices and the dots at the 12 o'clock hour, as well as the hour and the minute hand, both have a vintage green loom. Now, we'll do this in proper lighting conditions. We'll show off the loom. I'm thinking of doing a video just on the loom of all my watches, so you can see how the loom compares between different Omega watches and different Rolex watches. But the vintage loom here, it's got that kind of green hue to it, which is very nice. You can check out pictures of that online. And then of course the quote unquote mission ready bracelet. And so again, brushed down the middle, polished on the outside, reminiscent of the 321. Honestly, it really did scratch the 321 itch as well. So I was on the list for that. I mean, I'm not sure I would say no if it was offered today, but what's nice is getting something that has a lot of the elements of the 321 with the modern movement and also paying half the price for it. And then we've already talked about the commemorative case back. And so what's nice about this is obviously you do have like the modern features of the micro adjustment here. And so you can do, I believe it's like a half link difference. Push down. This was incorporated into even the modern Speedmasters, I think a year or two ago. When I bought mine in 2021, it did not have micro adjustment. So really nice to have that now. And here it is in the flesh. So we're gonna quickly take this outside because one of the things I noticed is a lot of people are taking video in the boutique and you get the studio lights on it. And not a lot of people have this in hand or are making videos about this yet. So we'll take it outside right now and we'll show you what it looks like in the sunlight. So pardon the background noise, but we did take this outside to see what it looks like in the sun. And it is just gorgeous. I know some people are a little bit critical of the kind of faux patina there, but honestly, it works in the modern design element. So we'll try to get a little bit of the colors captured here, because when you take it in natural light, you do see a lot more of the blue. Let's see if we can get this to refocus. There we go, nice up close and personal. So just an amazing dial. I love the hands, I love the indices, and this is an absolutely beautiful modern vintage watch. So let's go back inside and talk about it. All right, and now that we're back, let's do a little bit of a comparison. We'll do a side-by-side. Let's use the black dial Speedy for this, just so you can see the color contrast on the dial. Of course, I do have a folding clasp on mine with this bracelet. And so this is what you're missing on the new First Omega in Space is the exhibition case back, which takes it back to letting you see that gorgeous movement. My son says it looks like a little city, so I call it the little city there. And here we go, side by side. So the first thing you'll notice is that the First Omega in Space is a little bit smaller. I think this one comes in at about 39 millimeters wide, whereas the new modern Speedmasters are 42 millimeters. A lot of people think that a 42 millimeter watch might be too big for them. They could be right, but the lower profile of the Speedmaster makes these wear really well. So I do see people with smaller wrists who have issues on 40 millimeter watches and are completely looking good in a 42 millimeter Speedmaster. So that's that. You do see that hue come in. Obviously the classic Speedmaster has this like flat black dial, whereas you've got a little bit of a sunburst effect that really makes that blue-gray pop. So I love that. And then of course the hands are different. You have the pointed hands on the First Omega in Space versus the standard ones, which don't taper off like the new model, the new old model, so to speak. The pushers are a little bit more protruded on this because it doesn't have as much of an exposed case here. So the case wraps around the crown and the pushers on the newer Speedmasters, where they're very exposed on this one. Makes it almost feel more like a stopwatch, but very cool nonetheless. So here they are side by side. Let's take a look at the profiles. And so look at that glass, how it just kind of stands out above the case. Profile other than that is rather similar. Let's look at this side of the profile so we can get apples to apples comparison. So the case seems a little slimmer on the First Omega in Space. I can't tell if it's an optical illusion just because the watch is a little bit smaller. It might be. And then the case back is a little bit slimmer on the Sapphire Sandwich here. The most notable thing I think is that domed crystal. So both of these are sapphire, and the dome just like really adds to the thickness of this watch, but it doesn't feel thick since it's transparent, which is kind of cool as well. And then again, exhibition case back versus a non-exhibition case back. And then, I mean, as you'll see on the white dial, this is the standard stainless steel bracelet on the modern Omegas, on the modern Speedmasters. And so much different than what we're seeing here. Definitely a throwback to the original. But it's really a gorgeous piece. I actually liked it. I mean, I liked the, you know, the teaser videos of it and then the launch video on social media, but seeing it in person really adds a lot of depth to it, and it's a really nice piece. So why don't we go ahead and wind it. A very stiff crown here. All right, I think it's already wound actually, so there's not much to wind. I'll go ahead and use that top pusher. There you go. So same functionality of your regular Speedmasters there. Kept some light on the second hand. So yeah, with the resistance, you know, like I said, this is a 3861, so it's a modern movement inside a vintage looking watch, but due to the tightness of the crown, I think it's already been wound all the way. Now everything feels, you know, from a operational standpoint, very much like the modern Speedmaster, but the look of it is just so unique, such a classic. So let's go ahead and put it back on the wrist on indoors. And so, like I said, it's a little bit smaller. It's, I think, less than, maybe a little bit more than 2 millimeters smaller than the current Speedmaster Sapphire Sandwich that I have. And perfect fit. So I do have a 7 3/4 inch wrist, and so I believe we ended up taking 3 links off, and I'm wondering if we put another one back on. So I think we took 2 links off altogether. It was a little bit too loose, or too tight with the 3 links off, and that was with the adjustment open, and so I want to be able to expand if I need to. But here it is. Let's do our watch roll, the vintage Omega logo there. Very nice piece. All right, so what are your thoughts on this? Is this something you would add to your collection? Let's see if there's anything else we can mention here. I think other than that, I mean, we've talked about the differences. We'll do, I guess, a quick recap here. So just from a watch case perspective, a little bit more streamlined on the first Omega in space. This is a throwback to the 1962. This one has 39 millimeters and change on the width of it, whereas the current modern Speedmaster has a 42 millimeter width. The differences on the dial, obviously we have our flat black here, where we have this kind of sunburst effect on this blue-gray that they're calling. And then it looks like the bezel is a little bit more streamlined as well. And we have the dot over 90. Everything else looks pretty clean. Here again is profile look. So we have a domed sapphire crystal here, which is mimicking the Hesalite. Just gives it a little bit more of that thickness. And then of course, the vintage inspired bracelet. With micro adjustment. And then the case back there. Dated first Omega in space with the icon there. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'd love to know your thoughts. Is this a watch that you plan on getting? Or do you like a modern look better? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed probably an early hands-on look at this watch, since it did just come out this week and we have it in hand and it's going to be worn on the wrist. So yeah, I'll probably work this into my regular daily wear. And again, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'd be happy to answer for it. And thank you for watching.